for the Shop Report with
Barbershop Jay.
What up, sports fans? Welcome to the Shop Report. I'm Barbershop Jay. I'll be your host for the day. Here's what's happening. If you're up and around, you're out and about, and you want to give us a shout, that number to call is area code 267-687-0026. Once again, that number to call, area code 267-687-0026. And as always, the Shop Report is being brought to you by none other than the fine folks over at Rocket Digital. If you find yourself in need of services such as marketing consulting, media production, and watch me mess this last one up, social media advertising, yay, and a host of all other digital services, hop on over to their Facebook page at RDM Detroit. Once again, at RDM Detroit, and tell them Jay from the shop sent you. Or slide on over to the website, son, Rocket Digital, ROCKIT Digital.net. Joining me on the program today is none other than my cat from the NYC, a.k.a. Rucker Park. Brother Rich, holla at your boy.
I'm always honored to be on the platform, Mr. Jones. The Barbershop. Because, I really am honored that the Cowboys are a team that I admired from a distance, and to be on a platform with you, a rabid Cowboys fan, is always an honor. I'm honored to be on here.
But you admire the Cowboys from a distance. So you ain't. So we called you. What we gonna call you, Richard?
Because I admire you. So because I have to investigate things you admire. I look up to you. I admire you. You're a great young man, and I admire you. So you made me. Your love of the Cowboys made me say, I would detest them on my own, but since I admire you, I look at them and say, well, my man, I admire my man, so I got to look at what he admires and see what is it about this team that he always brags about. The man, he's about to go on vacation to go to their training camp. Oh, I gave out a little bit too much information to the audience that you're going on vacation to go to the Cowboys training camp, but nevertheless, hey, pleasure to be on with you.
Yeah, we appreciate the Stephen A. type soliloquy, but I just wanted to remind you, make sure you got your pooper scooper when you're walking the Yorkie. Got you. On the other side of the ledger, we got my man, Joey James, a.k.a. Double J. Tell the people what you say.
Always honored to be on the Cowboys Report with, of course, America's favorite mascot, Little Jerry, and, of course, our gracious co-host, Brother Rich, and D. Gully.
Yeah, and last but not least, we got my man, D. Gully from the CO Lum Bus. Holla at us. Really? We just went through this. This is exactly what I'm talking about, man. He doing this, and this is intentional, y'all. This is definitely.
You know what it is? I'm gonna tell you what it is the connection between your office in Dallas and his in Ohio. I understand,
No,
Ohio's a little bit behind.
No,
so, it's hard to Dallas. Y'all are a little up to speed. Y'all a little more high speed there.
Nah,
Dallas, we understand. It's okay.
Nah, that's not what this is. He just driving home the point that y'all keep trying to make about the Cowboys. But it's all good. We're gonna keep things moving right along. All right. It is not often that when I go on Facebook, I find a topic or a question that would lead to a topic for the show. Right? I'm scrolling through my timeline, and a guy put a post up asking the question that had me sit back in my seat and cogitate, ruminate, ponder, give thought for all of you all out there who sit at the back of the bus sometime. And the question was, why is Roger Craig not in the Hall of Fame? And I said, what? Now, forgive me for being or making the assumption. I thought he was already in. Double J. What do you make of Roger Craig not being in the Hall of Fame?
Well, look, baseball has a long history of being, they're called America's pastime, and that might be the best and most accurate when it comes to them recognizing their stars. It always seems to come too late or from an outcry versus them simply acknowledging what those have done for their respective games.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's a travesty. It's a doggone travesty. Brother Rich, you want to weigh in? Why do you think? Why Roger Craig?
Because
Go ahead.
Because the Hall of Fame are political. They've become, especially the Baseball Hall of Fame, it's become more and more political as the time goes by. We could legitimately ask the question, how could any Hall of Fame keep a player like Barry Bonds out of this Hall of Fame? It's political. So when you ask why is so-and-so not in the Hall of Fame, why is Roger Craig not in the Hall of Fame? We know why he's not in, because he's not a political favorite. He doesn't have the political support and backing. And this is why Double J pointed out to us that baseball, more than any other Hall of Fame, tends to wait until there's some hue and cry from its audiences that demands its action, demand it respond to them. And so we'll see whether or not, and remember, it's also a grand old game. So there's such a good old boy network. We want you to behave accordingly in order to be recognized as to be part of our network, our Baseball Hall of Fame. So these are the kinds of things that I think keep players like that out of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and I want to point something out too. Both of you all make good points, but I want to point something out as well. More so than him not being in the Hall of Fame, Roger Craig, this is another case or a classic case of why the writers and their vote, in my stance, in my argument, it carries too much weight. Case in point, again, Terrell Owens. Hello? If it is what it is, and a guy's supposed to be getting in based on what he has done, how do you keep Terrell Owens out, even though he did finally get in? And then more importantly, now this is Roger Craig's first time up or whatever, I suppose. So maybe I don't know what the wait list is and so on and so forth. But Bleacher Report even, they said it's Roger Craig's first appearance on the semifinalist list, and it's about time. How? It's about time. How is that synonymous with Terrell Owens and Roger Craig if it's based on what they did? Production. I'm going to continue to ask this question. It makes absolutely no sense. This is why I sniffle, snoggle, scoff at everybody that wants to use all these, I don't care, pick a sport. The MVP in basketball regular season, people want to make their arguments and the debates about this. They don't carry no weight with me. Listen, just like I said about the Heisman Trophy in college football, it says that the Heisman Trophy is supposed to go to the best college player that year. I didn't pull it up, but I'm promising you, if you do, those of you listening, how many times has the Heisman Trophy went to a quarterback? You mean to tell me 99.9% of the time the Heisman Trophy going to a quarterback, that quarterback was the best player in college football that year? No. These awards and these writers and these court of public opinion, it carry too much weight, man, and these guys, especially in a sport like the NFL. Listen, Bleacher Report goes on to say, if he were a shoo-in, then there will be no debate and no need to put together a compelling argument. Double J, do you agree with that?
Not entirely. I just feel like, what you pointed up, and actually Brother Rich's sentiment and example of saying it's political was perfect. When you talk about these writers are almost like when you bring up the senators and how old they are and how out of touch they are. And oftentimes,
hey, you need to repeat that. You need to repeat that. You need to repeat that line. That is the Shop Report line of the decade. These senators and how old they are. Is that what you said? You might gonna need to repeat that one more again for the people in the back, because I don't think they heard you.
Absolutely. So again, the writers are the equivalent of senators in the sense that they are old, they are out of touch, and they also have never set foot on a field, or a baseball diamond, whatever it may be. And because of that, their bias and opinion should not hold the weight, and they should not have the merit that they do to dictate and overrule those that have invested the blood, sweat, and tears in triumph in their respective fields. It's asinine.
You know what, Double J? And I'm glad you said that, because that brings this another question to bear. Who or whom, however you want to say that, in your estimation, whose vote should carry the most weight in whether or not if a player gets in to the Hall of Fame?
Well, truthfully, I believe it should be from its fellow players, or at least should contribute to this. I believe we're speaking about a broken system, which is one of many. It's archaic, and it needs to be reevaluated from a third party.
Yeah, I'm in total.
And I can't have, and I will not trust someone that's employed and paid by Major League Baseball, National Basketball Association, whatever respective group. You need an independent third party to truthfully evaluate how this process should be. And I believe it can actually be a model for the future, because again, when we talk about all of these leagues in various ways, we often bring up that there's a lot of old rules that some of which have shaped the game and made it what it is today, but that doesn't make it something that doesn't need to be changed, so to speak, or innovated upon.
Indeed. Gully, are you back with us? Well, apparently not. Brother Rich, so I asked you the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Who?
I never left.
Well, you never said anything.
I never. No, I never left. I was waiting for you, but that's okay. It's all right. I understand.
Double J, Brother Rich. Did I not call his name? Did I not call his name more than once? Okay,
I don't side with Cowboys fans, but I respect you.
Yeah,
So
I told y'all what he was doing was purpose. That's bad for business. But anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch, to you, Brother Rich, to who or whom, or however you want to put that, whose vote should carry the most weight in whether or not if these guys get in?
The players, not the writers, because as Double J pointed out, and this happens in both sports.
Hold on, Brother Rich. Hold on. You say the players, and I'm with you, but let me ask you this. Should one of those players include Kendrick Perkins, the guy, or Scottie Pippen, the guys who keep flip-flopping every 5 minutes?
No, because Kendrick Perkins in himself is a bit player. He's a marginal player. He had a marginal career. But what we're talking about here is that there should be some input, even from players at his level, not necessarily him, in every Hall of Fame, because they are the ones that's their peer group. They know who stood out to them. Yes, the writers should have a vote. They cover the teams. They understand. But somebody like Skip Bayless should not be able to dictate whether or not T.O. becomes a first ballot Hall of Famer simply because he has a pronounced issue with that young man on a personal one-on-one, because he doesn't relate to that young man properly. Because T.O. does not fit into his idea of what a consummate professional wide receiver in the NFL was supposed to be.
Right.
You deny him, and many writers denied him the opportunity to what he earned on the field, what the numbers said he did in fact do and achieve Hall of Fame stature based on his performance. They deny him because of that. Other players, Roger Craig, other people, other sports, they're denied based on that. So yes, the writers should have a say in it, but they should not have the ultimate say. The players should have more say than anyone else. Absolutely.
Thank you. Gully, what say you?
The players and the Players Association should have the most say. I think the Players Association should have a great deal of say on who gets into that into the Hall of Fame. I don't see why a writer's input I never understood why a writer's input for a fan's game made more weight. It never made sense to me. I understand that they have a very, they have a very good job at coloring the narratives, and they do a very good job at coloring the narrative and framing the framework by which we see the things and creating the storylines the writers do. Hint, hint, politics and politics at work. But guys on the field who have done it, who know the rigors in and out of a season, guys on the field who have excelled, who know the rigors in and out of the season, the Hall of Famers themselves should have the biggest vote on who gets into that fraternity. Those who have made it now get that vote. They should have the biggest vote. They should.
All right, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that's that's what we here for. The Hall of Fame people themselves vote should carry the most weight.
Yeah.
How about that?
Like a guy like Shannon Sharp.
Hold that.
Antonio Gates. Go ahead.
Hold that thought, Gully. Whatever you said, your audio is kind of wacky. But finish your thought, and then Double J sound like you were going to say something. So let him finish his thought, Double J. Go ahead, Gully.
No, it's just as simple as guys who earned it. A guy like Shannon Sharp should be able to look at Grant in a few years, and Antonio Gates. You know what I mean? Those guys who be able to know that position. Know the ins and outs. They should be able to say, "Hey, welcome to the Hall of Fame. You see what you've done out there, young right. fella. Congratulations." That's how it should be. You know what I mean? That's how it should be. The seniors elect their successors. In any other business that we have, when you talk about a law firm or what have you, that company, that CEO, they have a vision for who best could carry on the legacy and the values of that legacy, whatever that could be. So then you should, in like framework, the guys who've done it should be able to do the talking, not the guys who wrote about it.
Great point. Glad you finally decided to show up today. But let me say this, Double J, before you weigh in. Well, you know what? Go ahead and say what you're going to say, Double J, because what the Gully's last point brought to bear another question. So go ahead, Double J.
Yeah, the issue I have with putting too much power in the hands of any group is there are biases, there are beef. Why I like the players, I would leave players very much open-ended to those both past and present. So those that played alongside and or against on the opposite side of the field, as well as those that came before them, because it's less likely to get again, to incorporate any of the personal issues that may have happened, which is, again, why we're having this conversation when it comes to headliners like Terrell Owens or Chad Johnson or Roger Craig. Again, the list goes on and on that, a lot of these folks have, their personalities or just their character may come into question on how some people opt to live their life, and unfortunately that overshadows at least in the present tense with how this is being done. But this is why I believe it should almost be like an electoral college in some respects, by having so many votes that it would be added together where you can, again, ultimately it's very easy for these guys to come up with an algorithm. People submit their vote, gets weighed. If you get a majority of a particular group, whether that's players of past, players of present, writers, then they can get weighed from there. But it needs to be equal across the board because, again, I mentioned, and I'm going to hone in on any kind of personal vendetta that we've seen time and time again, and I won't accept, and I believe that we shouldn't accept that that's just the way things are, which is a classic line that we've heard, I'm sure, countless occasions in a variety of ways throughout our lifetime.
Yeah, and you bring up another interesting point. Well, Brother Richard, I'm coming to you on this one. What should the criteria be based on, regardless of sport, when it comes to a guy getting in the Hall of Fame? In other words, give me and you don't have to give me a set number or a set act. You don't have to name anything in particular. But in other words, like, should it be based on these 10 things? And then now that these 10 things are agreed upon, then those 10 things should be agreed upon by all groups. In other words, you make it formal. I guess formal is the word I'm using here. In other words, I don't care if you Gene Upshaw or the guy who is season ticket holder. You have to select these 10 things. Does this guy meet these 10 things? So no matter who you're asking, whoever has more of the 10 is maybe the guy that gets in. Does that make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. And the first thing that comes to mind in response to that is I would call it something like the Michael Jordan litmus test. And here's what I mean by that. I would mean something like this. That individual would have had to have had such an imprint on the game. His team, her team.
Gotcha.
They would have had to have an imprint on the game itself, to that they impacted the game fundamentally, that each and every time they appeared in whatever arena, the other team had to consider that individual, a la Lawrence Taylor, a la Jordan, a la Tom Brady. Those kind of individuals that, they come to town. Deion Sanders. You got to prepare for these guys when they come to town. Jerry Rice. So you have to. It would have to engulf that kind of individual. We would have to have an individual that met a certain number in terms of whether it was basketball. What was their actual shooting percentage? What kind of player were they as an all-around basketball player? It would have to encompass whether or not that individual won. They would have to win, and they wouldn't have to win once or twice. They would have to win under different conditions and be classified as a quote-unquote winner. And that individual was the catalyst around which we built something that ultimately won this thing that is the ultimate prize in their chosen profession, sport, arena that they perform this craft in. So there would be a litmus test. I would call it something like a Michael Jordan test, but absolutely, you got to bring some, like they say, to get some. So I want to see who is this that's qualified to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
let's see who that is.
That's good stuff. And based on that, Terrell Owens, if nobody else, and Barry Bonds really, but again, Terrell Owens, if nobody else, should have been in 4-5 months before the vote was done. You understand what I'm trying to tell? I'm talking about while the ink was still hot, baby. He should have been in. Period. End of story.
But what does it mean for his legacy that he wasn't the first ballot Hall of Famer?
You asking me or you asking Brother Rich?
Yeah, I'm asking both of you. Like,
I'll let Brother Rich answer that because we didn't finish our conversation last night.
We talked about this.
I'll tell you what it means. Gully. Here's what because you asked the question and you say you asked to me. Let me respond. What it means is that the Hall of Fame is robbed of some of its luster in the moment that we discussed Terrell Owens, because they attempted, and I use the word attempted because it didn't ultimately succeed. That's what you're pointing to, that ultimately he achieved the prize. But here's what happened. There is an attachment to being that, and that's why we call it that. So-and-so is a quote-unquote first ballot Hall of Famer. As Yankee fans, we all knew that our star of all those 20 years, we all knew that Derek Jeter was going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. We know that Tom Brady is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. We all know that our GOAT, Kobe Bryant, is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's something to that. There are individuals who are waiting, who have waited. Some people wait. Brother Richard,
hold your thought. I got to give a shout out to my man right now. If you're listening, my man RB, because that's been his point all along. And what you explaining, Brother Richard, and please don't lose your thought. I stand corrected, RB, if you're out there listening, because RB been saying that for the longest. He was like, man, first ballot Hall of Famer means something. And my argument was, I don't know, some of the guys just getting in may mean it. But to hear you explain it the way you explained it, Brother Rich, I'm with you, RB. I get it now. But go ahead, Brother Rich, finish. So we can go ahead and move on. Go ahead.
Well, you finished it. That's you made the point. I don't need to go any further.
Okay, got you.
Encapsulated it. That's it. You said it better and quicker than I did. But that's exactly it. Means something. There is proof.
Yeah.
It means something. That's why we have that lexicon in either sport. We have that. So and so is a first ballot Hall of Famer. If Kobe's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, we're all going to go protest the Hall of Fame, and we all know
Thank
that.
you.
We're going to riot at the
Exactly.
Hall of Fame if he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Let's be honest.
Exactly. Yes. Absolutely. That's another one of the words, my man RB. Absolutely. Salute to my man RB out there listening. I'm trying to tell you, Shorty, it's all to the GO. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good, fellas. I place my emphasis on the writers. They got too much say-so to me. They just got too much say-so. You know, and guys not getting in ain't got nothing to do with why they should do or don't get in. Man, I can't even tell you how many times I done watched or listened to, rather, here in Cleveland. We got one of our guys has got a Hall of Fame vote for the NFL. You know, and regardless of what I think about him and his reporting and so on and so forth, to hear the stuff that come out of his mouth sometime when he's asked a question about a player, should he get in and get out, I'm like, man, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. And he's smug at times in his response on, it's like he can't wait to say, here's why I didn't vote for the guy. And I'll be like, man, what are you basing it on? Everything that you said ain't got nothing to do with why he should be in the first place. But that's just me. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's the writers. If you ask me, the writers is full of, anyway, I ain't going to say. But yeah, if you're up and around, you're out and about, and you want to give us a shout, that number to call is area code 267-687-0026. Once again, the number to call is area code 267-687-0026. We're powered by Rocket Digital. Up next, now, I wanted to start the show off with this one, but that Roger Craig thing just sponged. It just cut in front. You know what I mean? Just cut in the line. Just had to go first. But we've all read now or heard the story. I don't know. Yeah, I think, Brother Rich, you said you might not be familiar with it. But the Scrapyard Fast Pitch Softball, what is it, Double J, organization or league?
That's right. They're an independent women's fast pitch or softball league.
Okay. All right. So let me read to you all a few lines from this article. Now, again, this is the thing I was talking about, the Facebook post. Not often is it, in addition to the Roger Craig deal, not only is it when I see a Facebook post, not a lot of it will have me bring it to the show. But I see this one guy, a guy posted this about these ladies have on USA uniforms. So I want to say they got some connection, or they play for USA or played for USA softball, women's softball or whatnot. But I guess they're part of this league, this fast pitch, scrapyard fast pitch. So let me read something to you all. A few weeks ahead of the slated return of most U.S. sports, right, pro women's softball held its first game in Melbourne, Florida this past week. Shortly after the game ended, every member of the Texas-based Scrapyard Fast Pitch quit the team. Every single one. Now here's why, which I thought was bass awkward. In the climate of what's going on in the country, how do you not, I get human nature, but how do you not see the car crash in front of you and know that the car behind need to maybe slow down? If that's a half of a decent analogy. At some point during the game, the team's general manager, Connie May, I repeat, Connie May, tweeted a picture of the players standing during the national anthem. The tweet tagged the dude in that house, declaring everyone respecting the flag. Now, according to the New York Times, the team returned to their locker room after the game to find a bunch of texts and notifications about the picture, which of course was posted without their knowledge or consent to promote a political message they say was not their intention. May's implication is that by standing for the anthem, the team is showing opposition, or at the very least indifference, to the Black Lives Matter movement, making it a sort of anti-protest in and of itself. And the team made it clear they were not okay with that message. Haley McClinney, I guess she's a player on the team, we might be standing in this photo, but we sure as HE double hockey sticks aren't standing for this. And I mean, she capitalized all of that. I'm embarrassed. I'm heartbroken. I'm disgusted. At Scrapyard FP, I will never be associated with your organization again. Black Lives Matter. The tone deafness on this is unbelievable. And she put about 152 exclamation marks. Listen. And then I'll give you one more here from Kat Osterman. And she's on the Olympic squad. She says, I do not support the comments made during our game by at Scrapyard, and I will not represent them. We as a people are working towards change, and this is not it. And I wanted to bring this up for a couple of reasons. One, because of something Double J said in regards to senators and old hat and so on and so forth. It is time for the political landscape to have fresh blood. These young people are speaking out, as was the case when we had my son on the show a few weeks ago or a week ago, when he said his generation, they don't care no more. You need young progressive folks to becoming senators and judges and so on and so forth. These young people ain't going for this, man. I applaud these young ladies. They all quit. Talk about unity, but I want somebody not on this panel out there listening to tell me, or even act like they want to fix their mouth to tell me that these girls was wrong for what they did, especially in light of recent events of what was tweeted from that house about Russia and so on and so forth. What else do it take for y'all to see? Every time y'all defend these actions of the folks that's in charge of this country, your willful ignorance, like a pimple, it's or a wart. It's on the surface. It's coming to the surface. Brother Rich, what say you about all this?
Jay, you said it. You said it. You said it far. And that is, you talked about women, young women, a generation that intends to be different than their parents, that intends to make America live out the true meaning of a creed. We can only applaud them. I applaud them. You should stand in Dallas and applaud them. You should applaud them from Columbus. You should applaud them from Michigan. I am applauding them from Los Angeles. We are applauding them because they are doing what our grandparents did with Dr. King and what some of us failed to do in this generation, and that is standing for real change. So I applaud them.
Seriously? I just had to be in Dallas, right? Huh? Yeah, got you. Double J, what say you, man?
Well, I'm just talking about where you are at home. I'm just talking about where you are.
Yeah.
I'm saying you're comfortable at home.
Yeah. Double J, you got anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, I would love to. I do want to salute those ladies for supporting what they believe. And what often gets lost, especially today, is that you have to make a choice, that you can't be a free thinker, and you can't, it's either you're on the left side or the right side of any particular conversation or topic. I do want to point out that 7 NFL owners donated a minimum of $1 million to Trump's campaign.
Wow.
While we understand why I say that is to point out why that tweet included him. That league, which again is an independent league, so they are able to do as they wish, but no different if Jerry Jones said no Cowboys players will take a knee,
right,
whether that's past, present, or future tense. You have to understand that if they are forced to stand, and I get it, they're employed by, it just as you are, kettle and all, by Jerry, that ultimately
This is unbelievable.
Their respective brands are speaking on their behalf. And so for these folks to take the stand that they did, and it's something that I've said multiple times on this program, spanning multiple months, is that the players make the league. Now, I'm sure Arsenal supporters in the UK would be irate to know that Stan Kroenke, who has told them on more than one occasion that he has no money to give when it comes to their transfer windows, or simply not enough to give, is shelling out $1 million to, again, essentially a charity, so to speak, versus investing into his own brand. And that's the point that I want to make here, is that ultimately these folks are going to do whatever they feel is in their best interest and what will suit their brand and their respective audience. It is up to us, because, again, the power will always remain in the people that either operate within that organization, and again, that is used in a general sense, or who support that or respective organization and or league, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so I challenge it once again. I challenge everyone. If you do not like something and or object to something, which you are more than entitled to do, regardless of which side that it is on, that is one of the rights within this country. Do as you wish and express yourself. But unfortunately, I believe with this particular topic, it is overwhelming. But it is, at this stage in the game, it is downright shameful.
But let me throw this in, Double J. I'm with you. Everyone has a right, regardless of what side of the fence they're on, to express themselves. But shouldn't we all, no matter what side of the fence we're on, isn't it incumbent upon us to have some tact when doing so? Not to be indignant. Did I see what?
Well, repeat that last portion of your statement.
I said, even though, regardless of which side of the fence we are on, isn't it incumbent upon us all to have some tact, expressing the right that we have to express ourselves or whatnot? To do so without indignance.
Well, here's the problem with what you're saying is it forces someone to conform. And when it comes to these leagues,
okay, all right,
that's why we're seeing what we're seeing, is that there's too many. There's 7 owners that we're aware of donated out of 32. And again, that's who we're aware of.
Yeah.
But because of that, there might have been empathizers, and then there might have been a few that did oppose, but there wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And this is where, as we've stated also on more than one occasion,
otherwise we would have heard of it. If it had been more that opposed, we would have heard of it. Yeah.
The lack of diversity, not just in terms of all of these topics, whether that's age, race, ethnicity, and amongst, gender, there is a big gap here that needs to change. And I think we're realizing that gap that needs to be changed is spanning so wildly that fortunately we are all quote unquote woke, and that awareness is leading. It should lead us down that road, because again, we've been told that's just the way things are. And I said it in the last piece, but that's not good enough anymore. And I'm thankful that I'm a part of this quote unquote great awakening, where we are going to continue to build upon this foundation, where maybe by the end of my days, we will see in some of that.
Indeed. Gully, if you're still with us, what say you about what the scrapyard fast pitch softball team did when they up and quit. All of them.
You don't ever. They basically did to the ownership what the ownership did to Kevin. Basically, it's proven again. You don't make the divisiveness or the danger you put at trying to use a sports venue to make a political statement. Now, understand this. I say this not to say that Colin Kaepernick was ever wrong, but the point is, these softball teams made the ownership do it about face because they exercise their power to prevent that owner from making his money supporting the team by taking a stand against a statement that they didn't believe in. When the league says they didn't really subscribe to Colin Kaepernick's theories about police brutality and about his protest and blackballed him. Okay, they ostracized him. They prevented him from making his way of life, making his living, and expressing himself. This ownership tried to do the same thing, and they got served. You know, what was it? Revenge is a dish best served cold. They got served what they were dishing out, and I'm glad for it. You don't want to do that. People are trying to, at the end of it all, people, you try to make a statement about your issues by using something that you're helping other people to participate in. It wasn't a statement about him and his household. He should put that on his lawn if that's what he wanted to do. He should have showed a picture of himself standing for the national anthem in front of his lawn or at his game, not people who are participating, you know, making a way of life, doing the things that they love, but they're participating in the league has a function of, or participating on that team has a function of them being in the league. You don't make a statement for everybody. You don't speak for everybody. Don't speak for me. And that's what he tried to do, and he got served up. Now, as far as owners spending their money for candidate X's or candidate Y's presidential campaign, if I'm not mistaken, I believe, as rich as he claims to be, I don't believe that Donald Trump outspent Hillary Clinton to win. So where your money goes don't necessarily always affect how the ballots go. Mike Bloomberg proved that. He put how many $1 billion into his presidential campaign, and he was done before it even started. But people had a right to do what they want to do with their money, to try to advertise and make a loudspeaker. But in the end, we got to go to the ballot box. Just make sure we get there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. But the idea that they spent money on something that we all know now to be, you know, somewhat dubious, to put it lightly, that's just a bad look, if you ask me. You know what I mean? And then, you know, too, at the end of the day, man, it's just it's time. It's just time for some progressive change, man. It's time to this. I'm all for old school in a lot of cases, but I'm not about to be no old fool. And if you ask me, there's just too many old fools who got the keys to the country. If you're up and around, you're out and about, you want to give us a shout. We're at the midway portion of the program. That number to call is area code 267-687-0026. Once again, that number to call is area code 267-687-0026. All right, fellas, let's talk about trouble in Tunisia.
Well, wait a minute. But are you so cool? And are you going to ask everybody if they want to get down? Can you show them the way?
What?
Whoop, there it is, little Jerry.
This is exactly, y'all, you know what the next show we're going to do? It's going to be called The Apprentice. And I'm telling you right now, you and Double J, Brother Rich, y'all might as well not even show up because you're fired. This is unbelievable. That's exactly what we're going to call this. Oh, and by the way, I failed to mention this earlier because it was all this Dallas talk, you know what I'm saying, got me over here discombobulated. I just want to let the folks out there know listening that we, after today, will be on vacation for the next 2 weeks. You can still check out the Shot Report. We will be re-airing some of our previous broadcasts. We were leaving on I don't know where Brother Rich, Double J, and D Gully are going, But, we're just going to take some time off to redo some things, bring some new stuff to you all, hopefully, or whatnot. But my vacation in particular starts on the 6th of July next month, and I will be returning on the 14th or the 15th. I'm not sure just yet. But y'all stay with us. Make sure you check us out. We re-airing some previous broadcasts. But when we get back in the saddle, hopefully we should have some new things for y'all and whatnot. And again, if you're up and around, you're out and about, and you want to give us a shout, that number to call is area code 267-687-0026. And we are powered by Rocket Digital. Okay, let me tell you all why it was some trouble in Tunisia. Right? In London, Tunisian tennis player Majid Kilani, that's M-A-J-E-D, if I'm pronouncing that right, Kilani, K-I-L-A-N-I, has been banned from professional tennis for 7 years after the sport's anti-corruption body concluded he conspired to fix matches in 2016. Before I read on, Brother Richard, is this a big deal?
Yes, it is.
Really? Do tell.
Absolutely. Well, this full to tape, we did a show. So you talked about re-airing some of our broadcasts. We did a show where we talked about gambling in sports, and we talked about it being a big issue in Asia and in Europe. And we talked about the fact that many of these sports are corrupted, and they are known to be corrupted. We talked about soccer. We talked about baseball. We talked about now we're finding about tennis, that there is a lot of gambling, and so there's some match fixing going on. Gambling is very, very big in Asia, very, very big in certain parts of the world, and that is something that must be paid attention to as we open these leagues to betting on sports books here in America. We know that gambling is a part of that. We know that gambling and match fixing becomes a part of that when you put that kind of thing together. So this is absolutely a big deal.
Double J, what say you? But you know what? Before you respond, I just wanted to throw in there that Kalani was also fined $7,000 by the Tennis Integrity Union on Friday, and that's another question: should integrity in sports do they belong in the same sentence? So y'all can answer that one after Double J gives his take on the first thing I said. Go ahead, Double J.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to double down on Brother Rich's point here that this is a big deal no matter what sport or form it comes in. In essence, there's a lot of money that can be made for each of us if we're aware of an outcome. A lot of people think, whenever you see those posts online of would you take X amount of dollars and move forward or continue with the knowledge that you have and move backwards, and those in the sports world are familiar with the sports world would absolutely go back because they know they could make 10x that because they know the results or outcomes of what's taken place in the respective sport. So knowing this ahead of time made somebody very, very wealthy, and on the other hand, jeopardized the it makes every sport WWE if that was the case. No different than what we've seen with the likes of Tim Donaghy and others about the uncertainty of the outcomes here. If it's a predetermined outcome, that's not what we're tuning in for. And again,
I don't see why not. We tune into wrestling. We tune into wrestling. We tune into the NBA Finals. We tune into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but again, with tennis, again, when you think of the likes, if you knew that Novak, that the Joker was going to make it to the final and then lose in 3 sets, you can make a fortune off of that.
Oh yeah, okay,
and
well
it's
yeah,
the same as
yeah.
for these guys, but with WWE, but again, they've came clean about that. There's no hiding that.
That is true.
Because
that
they're
is true.
deemed sport as entertainment, not through, even though yes, it's physical, I'm not going to take anything away from that, but it is deemed entertainment not as much as it is sport.
Okay, got you. Gully, what say you? But let me just say, what say you about this guy getting hemmed up for fixing matches or whatnot? But before you answer that, let me just throw this out here at you all. What I found interesting. This Kilani guy is currently ranked 804 in ATP singles and 528 in doubles, both of which are career bests, this particular statement added. And to drive the point, not the point home, but to give you a little bit more detail on this, him getting caught, the TIU, I guess this Tennis Integrity Unit investigation established that Mr. Kalani conspired with a third party to manipulate the outcome of matches played at an ITF Futures tournament in Egypt in August 2016. So this is when the alleged stuff, whatever, took place. But back to where he's ranked. How you ranked? Those are terrible rankings. Who asking him to fix anything? What he gonna fix? The $1.99 matches? My bad. I went on a tangent. Go ahead, Gully. What say you to my man getting hemmed up for corruption and fixing matches?
You ever found a mouse in your house?
No. I don't know where this is going, but go
Anybody
ahead.
ever found a mouse in their house?
I don't think anybody would agree.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Brother Rich, of course, that's right, of course. Well, he used to own Orkin, so.
Yeah, right. You found a house. You found a mouse in your house, right, Brother Rich?
I have. So I grew up in New York City, so yes, I have found a mouse.
Them ain't mice.
One mouse.
Them is little men.
One mouse.
No, there was always more than one. I know exactly what you're saying, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. I don't need to say nothing else.
Oh, so whoa. So wait. So that was what's already understood or what should already understood need not be explained kind of moment. That's what that is. That what that was?
It's not that. No, it's not that. It's that he the one that didn't pay attention, and he the one that kept getting out there getting greedy, and the lights came on. Now we're gonna find out where he goes. It's not just him, and it's gonna get bigger. You talked about his rankings. You talked about his rankings.
Yeah,
because he was supposed to be hidden, right? But he got caught. So now the way he did it and the way he fumbled, now you're gonna see the trend. Now you're gonna see how big it is. Okay, it's very dangerous.
Oh, okay.
The fact that he was 800 and 500 for it, clearly he wasn't good enough to make him. He wasn't good enough to make life sustaining income with it. So he had to supplement it.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's the other side of the coin of that. Double J, what say you, man?
Well, I'm going to further emphasize Gully's point is that, look, when you turn on the light and the roaches scatter, you might see one or two, but there was far more than that. And you have a problem. This is, additionally, to take it a step further, let's be realistic here. You don't have a committee in place if you don't have a problem. There's no pest control if you don't have pests.
Right.
Yeah, I guess so. But I just, wow, really? How you get hemmed up for fixing matches? You got to, but again, so y'all don't. Whoever asked him to fix it, well, Gully hit it best. He had to supplement. He had to supplement his $1.99 income. Oh my goodness, yeah, that was good stuff. Yeah, so yeah, it's trouble in Tunisia. I wouldn't advise nobody renewing their passports or plan on going there. Matter of fact, they might not even take flights there. I don't know, Brother Rich. Do they take flights from Cleveland to Tunisia? They 0-16 there too.
I'm sure Dallas has a big international. I'm sure you can get a direct flight.
Oh
from
yeah.
I was going to say, DFW all day long, huh?
Oh, what'd you call it though? What'd you call it, Double J? Oh, you seem to know more about it than I do. Yeah. Meanwhile, back.
Again, you always say it's getting thick in Fort Worth, huh? Those stockyards.
Wow.
He doesn't know anything about the commercial airports. He's on Jerry's custom plane. So yeah, forgive.
Oh.
For not knowing.
Oh.
Makes sense.
Oh wow.
Makes sense.
Oh wow.
Valid point, Gully. Well said.
Yeah. Oh wow. Oh, hey, I appreciate it there, Joey Haslam, Richard Stefanski, and Gully Van Pelt. Yeah, y'all just make sure there ain't gonna be no 0-16. Yeah, Yeah, if you're up and around, you're out and about, and you want to give us a shout, that number to call is area code 267-687-0026. Once again, that number to call is area code.
Let's not forget here.
267.
Our host,
Can I finish the number? 267-687-0026. Boy, Double J, you on your mark, get set, going over there, huh? Up in Michigan, huh? Imani Bates signed with Michigan State.
Well,
you
I
just can't
I
control
find it
yourself.
Interesting that you pointed out. When we talked about Roger Craig a little earlier, you didn't leave out your Cowboy Terrell Owens.
Right.
Terrell Owens was a Philadelphia Eagle and a San Francisco 49er. Stop it. My goodness. Oh, so the Cowboys is the only team he played for? Don't be omitting information, Double J, if you're trying to make a case against May. Anyway, can we please talk about the start of the 2020 NBA season? Or should I say the alleged or proposed, not alleged, excuse me, the proposed start?
If it starts.
Yeah, exactly. To catch you all up to speed on what's going on as far as the NBA is concerned. On June 26th, 2020, the NBA and the National Basketball Players Association finalized a comprehensive plan for a July 30th restart to the 2019-2020 season, which includes stringent health and safety protocols, a single-site campus at Walt Disney World Resort in Florida, and the goal of taking collective action to combat systemic racism and promote social justice. So, with all of the coronavirus cases spiking in Florida, do we see Walt Disney being the place that that this play is going to take place? If I'm saying that right, Double J?
It's just unfortunate at this stage because, as you've just alluded to, there's spikes in cases. You have a health officials warning or trying to prepare us for a quote-unquote second wave. Additionally, you have players like DeAndre Jordan saying that, hey, I've tested positive. I'm not rejoining the team when this restarts. Initially, when we brought up the idea of everybody returning, when it came to basketball, we threw out a few ideas, one of which was more of a NCAA style knockout tournament to try to be able to keep things limited and move rather quickly. And, the longer and longer we wait here, it's getting more and more difficult to believe that either there's going to be some form of asterisk next to the winner, or that simply put, it's going to not happen.
Gully, what say you?
Don't let it happen, because
Wait, don't let what happen?
what will be
The season?
don't let the season restart. No, because here's
Yeah, I
the
say
thing.
that too. They should
imagine
just
a scenario
cancel everything, man.
where Game 4 of the NBA Finals, LeBron James tests positive for COVID. He's not going to play. Right?
Interesting.
If that were to happen, if there wasn't an asterisk for the season, there would certainly be an asterisk for the championships. And that sort of risk at a player's health, whether I remain a skeptic about the whole idea of COVID or not, the fact is a lot of people are giving great pause and they're slowing things down to try to get a handle on something that they seemingly don't know of right now. It's no need for that. Think about it. We who haven't had COVID, save the political climate that we're in, we're doing all right. You know what I'm saying? Like life has moved forward. There are other things clearly to worry about than if I'm gonna see sports. Please keep re-airing the 1989 NBA Finals. I don't mind watching it. Show me some more of the classics. Show me some more of the game I used to love to remind me that when we get right and we get healthy, of how it should be played. This does not need to happen. We survived the 1994 MLB lockout. We survived the NFL lockout before. We can survive this.
Man, I'm in total agreement. They should just cancel the season, man. I mean, seriously. Just cancel the season altogether, because too many folks, too many cases. I mean, it's like it's worse than it was when it initially started, or whatever the case may be, man. And then you got players who are not playing or opting not to play, which is, I'm all for whatever reasons players are opting not to play. But I mean, how much can you take away from it if you do see these games go on or whatever? Number one, there's no fans, and then number two, who are you tuning in to see if half the? I mean, okay, I'm not saying that the Brooklyn Nets got a 99% chance of winning the championship this year before COVID, but as it stands right now, you watching the Brooklyn Nets, for instance, you don't see no Kyrie, no Kevin Durant, no Dinwiddie, and no Brother Rich or Double J. Who you watching at that point? Tyler Hansborough?
How about the fact that
Christian Laettner?
Trevor Ariza, you know what?
Go ahead.
Yeah, how about the fact that Trevor Ariza, he not coming back because he's like, hey, man, this is the month I spent with my son.
Yeah, I mean, we pointed
that. How about that being the big story?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Leading with that.
Yeah, for real. For real. I'm again, they should just cancel it. They should just cancel it. But any event that they do go on and they do go and play, which despite the corona cases spiking, we take a look at a few games here that we got on the upcoming schedule. Now, y'all got to excuse me. I was scrolling through my phone when I was doing it there. But, yeah, let's take a look at a few of what I feel might be some of the most notable games on this July 30th start. And, of course, 9 o'clock p.m., I don't know if it's TNT, must be TNT, the Clippers at the Lakers. Are we interested in this one or no? Or are you watching, if you do plan on watching this one, fellas, are you watching it from a COVID, quote-unquote, perspective? Brother Rich?
Well, I'm going to go back on record, pull the tape, said from day one, there will be no season. MLB just canceled their season today.
What?
They admitted and acquiesced that they just did. They canceled their season today. There will be no sport. Because what you're going to find, MLB was trying to do the same thing.
Hold on, Brother Rich. Hold on, Brother Rich. Hold on. I'm glad you did that. And, fellas, if at any time you all want to do what Brother Rich just did, please, by all means, do that. Because that's some updated news. The last time we was talking about it, they were going to go ahead and play, and all they was Major League Baseball, and all they was waiting on was to finalize the safety protocols. And, Brother Rich, you just pointed out, that's news to me. I didn't know that they went on ahead and finally canceled the season. But go ahead.
Well, what they're finding out, what's being discovered, I like you and others on this line and other listeners have individuals and people we know who are in the health industry. There is a global pandemic on the way. The world is facing a pandemic unlike anything we've ever faced in 100 years. The idea that we're going to cocoon a group of people and allow them to face a virus that we cannot see, we cannot feel, we cannot identify. We just know that it's present, and it continues to pop up in places, and people are traveling. And right now, Florida is becoming an epicenter in and of itself. The idea that you're going to ask basketball players to come into such an environment, the first time that one of them gets ill and passes that virus to their children, their pregnant wife, someone visiting, or one of the elder coaches or members of their staff members, who then contracts the virus and it becomes lethal in their instance, how does that individual react and respond? How does that team respond? What has Major League Baseball discovered in trying to implement safety protocols that they found out that would be, in fact, impossible? And in fact, what really renders this impossible is from a budgetary constraint point of view. Yeah, you can put those players in nice hotel rooms and bubbles, but again, we said this initially when this came up. Somebody has to serve them their food. Remember, we have frontline workers that America never thinks about. We never think about the person who has to bring the food to the hotel, who has to prepare the food, who has to do this, who has to do that. Yeah, you can have dedicated chefs, but is the chef going to live there? Is the person who brings the food going to live there? Is the young man or woman who works at the front desk who has to answer the phone, who has to deliver the food to your room? Is she or he going to live there? Are we going to cocoon them as well? And who's paying for that? How do we get this done? No, this is a farce. This is the society telling us we are more powerful than a virus. We will not submit to what everyone else must submit to. This is our leaders playing 3-card Monte with us and fooling us, making us believe they're going to move it from here to here to here to here. So they had a protocol meeting and a this meeting and a that meeting, but they haven't even gotten to Florida yet, and players are already dropping out right now. They haven't even gotten to Florida, and players are coming down with the virus. We will see whether or not there'll be a season, so I'm not even willing to weigh in on the game because I don't even think the game is going to happen, quite frankly. And if it happens, it's good. We're about to watch the injury classic of the history. We're going to see so many serious injuries with these young men that you're asking them to come back after 3 months. Most of them have taken literal time off. They may have played some kind of basketball, but nothing on the scale that they're being asked to do now. And after being laid off for 3-4 months, we're going to have some problems here. And some of the players are wise enough to understand that.
Double J, D Gully, I myself, I don't know if I want to follow what Brother Richard just said. How can you? He nailed it.
Well, I want to say this.
Are you going to try? Go right ahead.
Yeah. No. I just want to add to it. Less than 12 hours ago, Ian Desmond pointed out everything that is going on and expressed why he's walking away. Not only, he mentioned that, of course, he has a wife and kids. He mentioned the fundamental flaws that baseball is not doing when it comes to our youth, and that he felt his time would be best served trying to change that where he got his start.
You know what I'm seeing here? While you're talking, I'm seeing if I can pull that up, because I'll read I started reading, but I couldn't get the whole thing in its entirety. And this is Ian Desmond. So if I'm missing some of it here, wait a minute, let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, bear with me. I'll read it. This is Ian Desmond. And who does he play for, Double J? Because I don't see that here.
The Colorado Rockies.
Okay, appreciate it. A few weeks ago, I told the social media world a little bit about me that I never talk about. I started it by saying why that was. I don't like sadness and anger. I'd found an even keel allowed me to move through my days with more ease than emotion did. So I kept it inside. But that comes at an internal cost, and I could no longer keep a lid on what I was feeling. The image of Officer Derek Chauvin's knee on the neck of George Floyd, the gruesome murder of a black man in the street at the hands of a police officer, broke my coping mechanism. Suppressing my emotions became impossible. In the days since I began sharing my thoughts and experiences as a biracial man in America, I've received many requests to elaborate, but it's hard to know where to begin. And in truth, there's a lot on my plate. I think that's what he's saying here. Here's some of it, because I'm reading this from Instagram, but I don't have it all here. Let's see. Recently, I took a drive over to the Little League fields I was basically raised on here in Sarasota. That's him still talking, right, Double J?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep, keep going.
Okay. They're not in great shape. They look run down, neglected. When I saw a Cal Ripken Little League schedule tacked on a bulletin board, I walked over to check it out, and it was from 2015. The only thing shiny and new to my eye was a USSSA banner. Travel ball showcases. So, not so much baseball for all anymore, as much as baseball for all who can afford it. I walked around those fields, deserted at the time, and my mind raced. I stopped at a memorial for a man named Dick Lee, Coast Federal head coach and manager, Sarasota League, 1973 to 1985. There was a quote from him on the plaque, and my goodness, I got my glasses on and cannot see the quote. Doggone it. Let me see here. Many men have cherished some of their greatest moments in life while stopping and taking time to reflect back on the young men they have helped directly. And again, y'all got to bear with me. The print is very fine. From childhood into manhood, with the ability to carry on in life, in no other activity has man been able to see the growth better than he has in the heart and character of this nation. To see our youth grow and develop in the knowledge and skills to play baseball is a record that only one who has been involved one has been involved with would know. Baseball not only develops the physical skills of our youth, but develops a person with a knowledge of fair play while always stressing a desire to win. That great moment comes when you look at the final product and you realize the job done. There's nothing more satisfying when watching the young men than hearing that familiar voice call out, "Hi, coach," transcending that special spirit of pride. Then he says, "I know it sounds simple to say, as a Major League Baseball player, that these fields were important in shaping my life, but I don't mean my career. I read Dick Lee's words and I stood there, I read Dick Lee's words and I stood there and I thought about when I was 10 and my stepfather dropped me off for a baseball tryout. He never came back to get me. Later, as I sobbed alone at the top of the bleachers, a kind stranger offered me a chance to make a phone call to alert my mom. I thought about the moment, not too long after that, when my coach, John Howard, seeing I was upset about an out or something, wrapped me in an embrace so strong I can still remember how his arms felt around me, how it felt to be hugged like that, embraced by a man who cared about the way I was feeling. Then another memory hit me, my high school teammates chanting "White Power" before games. We would say the Lord's Prayer and put our hands in the middle so all the white kids could yell it. 2 black kids on the whole team sitting in a stunned silence. The white players didn't seem to notice. I started to walk the fields a bit, and that's when I thought of Antoine. These fields are where I learned a game that I've played 1,478 times at the major league level. It started when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, exactly how old Antoine was, 12, when I met him at the Nationals Youth Baseball Academy in D.C. He couldn't read. He could barely say his ABCs. One morning when his mom was shuffling Antoine and his siblings off to their aunt's house at 4 a.m. so she could get to work, they opened their door to a man stabbed to death on the ground. So, no sleep, traumatized by murder literally outside their door, eating who knows what for lunch, they head off to school. And they're expected to perform in a classroom? Meanwhile, my kids fly all over the country watching their dad play. They attend private schools and get extra curriculum from learning centers. They have safe places to learn, grow, develop. But the only thing dividing us from Antoine is money. It just doesn't make any sense. Why isn't society's number one priority giving all kids the best education possible? If we seriously want to see change, isn't education where it all starts? Give all kids a safe place to go for 8 hours a day, where their teachers or coaches are happy to see them, where they feel supported and loved. I went back to those little league fields because I wanted to figure out why they weren't thriving the way I remembered. What I came away with was more confusion. I had the most heartbreak and the most fulfillment right there on those fields, in the same exact place. I felt the hurt of racism, the loneliness of abandonment, and so many other emotions. But I also felt the triumph of success, the love of others, the support of a group of men pulling for each other and picking one another up as a team. I got to experience that because it was a place where baseball could be played by any kid who wanted it. It was there. It was affordable, and it was staffed by people who cared. But if we don't have these parks, academies, teachers, coaches, religious institutions, if we don't have the communities invested in people's lives, what happens to the kids who are just heartbroken and never get that moment of fulfillment? Bear with me here. If what Dick Lee knew to be true remains so, that baseball is about passing on what we've learned to those who come after us in hopes of bettering the future for others, then it seems to me that America's pastime is failing to do what it could, just like the country it entertains. Think about it. Right now in baseball, we've got a labor war. We've got rampant individualism on the field. In clubhouses, we've got racist, sexist, homophobic jokes or flat-out problems. We've got cheating. We've got minority issues from the top down. On African-American GM to African-American managers, less than 8% black players, no black majority team owners. Perhaps most disheartening of all is a puzzling lack of focus on understanding how to change those numbers. A lack of focus on making baseball accessible and possible for all kids, not just those who are privileged enough to afford it. If baseball is America's pastime, maybe it's never been a more fitting one than now. Antoine was 12 years old when he started going to the National Youth Baseball Academy, because that's when it started existing in his universe as a resource. We got him a tutor. He got into other programs and he learned to read. He was on the right track. He died when he was 18, shot 31 times in D.C. A 16-year-old kid was just arrested for his murder. It's almost safe to say that the best years of his life came from that academy, and yet the staff running it have to beg people to invest money and time. How can that be? Why isn't there an academy like that in every single community? Why does Major League Baseball have to have a specific youth baseball affiliation with RBI? Why can't we support teaching the game to all kids, but especially those in underprivileged communities? Why aren't accessible, affordable youth sports viewed as an essential opportunity to affect kids' development as opposed to money-making propositions and recruiting chances? It's hard to wrap your head around it. I won't tell you that I looked around at the world today, baseball or otherwise, and feel like I have the answers. I don't. I'm not a perfect person. I kept my emotions inside for so long because it seemed easier to numb myself than to embrace the why behind my feelings. Doesn't it seem easier to just block it out when you walk down the street and see women clutch their purse at the sight of you? To push it behind you when you find out your grade school had to hold a meeting for all students to let them know you and your sister, two black kids, were about to enroll? To slough it off when someone makes a racist joke or suggests you must be an athlete because how else could you have such a nice house? It forced me into a box. And in a lot of ways, I feel like everything in my life has been about boxes. I remember as a biracial kid, I dreaded filling out paperwork. I feared those boxes, white, black, other. The biracial seat is a completely unique experience, and there are so many times you feel like you belong everywhere and nowhere at once. I knew I wasn't walking around with the privilege of having white skin, but being raised by a white mother, an incredible mother, by the way, I never fully felt immersed in black culture. I almost always checked black because I felt the prejudices. That's what being black meant to me. Do you feel the hurt? Do you experience racism? Do you feel like you're at a slight disadvantage? Even in baseball, I'm immensely grateful for my career and for all people who influenced it. But when I reflect on it, I find myself seeing those same boxes, the golden rules of baseball. If I missed a word there, sorry. Don't have fun. Don't pimp home runs. Don't play with character. Those are white rules. Don't do anything fancy. Take it down a notch. Keep it all in the box. It's no coincidence that some of my best years came when I played under Davy Johnson, whose number one line to me was, Desi, go out there and express yourself. If in other years I just allowed myself to be who I was, to play free in the way I was born to play, would I have been better? If we didn't force black Americans into white America's box, think of how much we would thrive. The COVID-19 pandemic has made this baseball season one that is a risk. I am not comfortable taking, but that doesn't mean I'm leaving baseball behind for the year. I'll be right here at my old little league, and I'm working with everyone involved to make sure we get Sarasota youth baseball back on track. It's what I can do in the scheme of so much. So I am. With a pregnant wife and 4 young girls who have lots of questions about what's going on in the world, home is where I need to be right now. Home for my wife, Chelsea, home to help, home to guide, home to answer my older 3 boys' questions about coronavirus and civil rights and life. Home to be their dad, Ian Desmond. Man, I appreciate you all sitting through that with me. Double J, I'm glad you sent me that. And I'm glad I read it just now. And I'm also glad there's no need to talk about an NBA season. Brother Richard, we appreciate you starting that off for us. Because that right there was cold. That right there was absolutely cold. And because that was so cold, and on that note, it's been fun, but we got to run. We appreciate y'all for listening. Don't forget to check us out right here on the Spreaker.com network. Go to the search box and you type in the Shot Report. And while you're there, please give us a prescription or a subscription, as we like to say. Or you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast and give us a follow. And don't forget to subscribe, if you would, to our YouTube channel, as well as dropping us your comments, suggestions via email, theshotreport365@gmail.com. And we also have a website, theshotreport.com. And if that don't work, I need y'all to Google it. For my mans, B Rich, Double J, and D Gully, all those who support and follow us, we say thank you. I'm Barbershop J, and you've been listening to The Shot Report. And as always, we are brought to you by none other than Rocket Digital. And remember, the next time y'all want to know what's really going on, man, come to the shop. Walk-ins are always welcome. Holla!